This chair is not worth looking at. Thank you, Your Worship. And I think I'll begin with, because we have everybody here except Councillor Jansen, who's joined us virtually. Could I just ask Councillor Jansen just to acknowledge that he's there and he can hear us?
Sounds good, Mr. Chair. Coming to you live from Palm Desert, California.
Yeah, you're disgusting. Okay. First, like to get approval of the agenda for this evening, as well as the near-term and long-term agendas. Do I have any discussion or debate about that? Seeing none, any in opposition, please let it be known. Seeing none, I'll consider those passed. Next, if we could adopt the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, June 20th, 2022. Do we have any discussion or concerns? Councillor Day.
I just moved the adoption.
Oh, yep, you certainly can. Mayor Martin, did you, you're on my speakers list here, but no? Well, okay, I know how to get rid of you. So nobody will debate my wisdom, that's for sure. Okay. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, any in opposition? I declare those passed. Public participation. Amanda, do we have anybody? We have nobody in the audience. I can report. Do we have anybody online to participate?
We have 3 of the applicants online for tonight's item that's on the agenda. They are available for questions. I don't know if one of them wants to speak now. If you do.
Hi, my name is Jordan. I'm the applicant, Jordan Roche. I just want to let everybody on the board here know that I'm available for questions, as was pointed out. So I'll transfer through any kind of restaurant related questions to Lori and any kind of science related questions to Gary. And I deal with mostly the bylaws and stuff like that. So just here in support of the application.
Thank you, Jordan. Anyone else wishing to speak in public participation? All right, and moving on to item 5.1, Kelsey Fielden, our planning technician, the development variance permit for 681 Allendale Road. You good to go there, Kelsey?
Yes.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agenda item 5.1 is a development variance permit for 681 Allendale regarding McDonald's signage. Oh, I should share my screen. My apologies. There we go. So the applicant is requesting 6 variances to the sign bylaw, including increasing the number of fascia signs, projecting signs, freestanding signs on various elevations, and an increase in height on 4 fascia signs from 4 feet to 5 feet. The subject property is located in the Allendale district, accessed off Allendale Road from Veterans Memorial Parkway, and is a part of a 5-building commercial retail center. The property is zoned Mixed Use Employment Center 1 and is a part of Sign District D in the bylaw. The property is located within the Mixed Use Employment Center designation in the OCP, which is supportive of employment generating uses with the establishment of a commercial development along the Allendale lands. The following guidelines apply to the consideration of this variance request. This includes that freestanding signs be low in height, that there is safe and convenient access for cars to central parking areas, and signs should be located within building facades. The sign bylaw categorizes sign districts based on the zone, so the property is Sign District D. The allowable signage is located in the table below, as per the bylaw, as well as the applicant's request in red. It is noted that staff have an additional recommendation to limit the total sign area of freestanding signs to 7 square meters. A form and character development permit was issued in March 2020, which approved the development of a 5-building commercial retail center, which included a general signage plan, but was subject to change based on tenant requirements. The McDonald's signage was above the general signage plan and sign district D. The applicant notes that the proposed number and sign types is to provide adequate advertising for the restaurant while reducing on-site drive-through times and traffic. The sign bylaw currently does not incorporate a thorough directional signage definition, including menu boards, line queuing signage, or reservation style areas. The applicant has posted a development notification sign as per the Local Government Act, and letters were mailed to residents within 75 meters of the property. As you heard, the applicant is here tonight to answer any questions you may have. Committee may wish to consider recommending to council the following options: approve, defer for more information, or deny the application, which would have the effect of varying sections of the sign bylaw as noted in the recommendation section of the staff report. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to provide any more information if you have questions.
Thank you, Kelsey. Well done. Any comments? Councillor Baxter.
I have a question about the motion that we're option 1 that we recommended to pass. It does not state that the signs would have to be generally in accordance with the plan submitted. But it would be possible to insert that into the permit, yes?
That should be correct, yes.
Thank you. And there's mention of a 4.3 meter high sign. Where is that?
You're on mute, Kelsey.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so the 4.3 meter, the 4.3 meter high is the camera queuing system, which is a little bit in between of signage versus structure, but at this point it is considered a sign. But it's the camera queuing system.
Okay, thank you. And I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Day.
Thank you. And just, I think Councillor Jansen also has his hand up.
Thanks for a reminder.
To let you know. So my question is in regards to the 24-hour restaurant. We knew when this came before us before that there was a restaurant and that included permitting a drive-through restaurant. But we never have discussed the 24-hour nature that is now being proposed. So when I look back at the original report and our comparison, we went from being a general industrial zone to a mixed-use employment center, which included allowing bakeries, colleges, daycare, sports and recreation, mini storage, offices, and personal services. But there's in neither zone is there any consideration for 24-hour business. And that concerns me because we've had a number of locations that have been problematic with 24-hour servicing. So my question is it possible to reduce the hours so that it's not 24 hours and include that in the zoning?
I think I'll refer this question, Kelsey, if that's okay, to Lori.
No, the question is for staff.
Oh, sorry for staff. Okay.
Councillor Day, thank you. This question is probably at this moment more related to rezoning or a text amendment, which may require more. Yeah, so I have Jasmine Hernandez here to answer any questions regarding the zone.
Yes, if I may, and sorry, I'm so backlit. So the application that is being reviewed tonight is a development variance permit specific to signage. And there is no room to investigate or impose conditions that with respect to the land use itself. So as Kelsey was trying to point out, that would involve a text amendment to the zone. And it's not the conversation we're having tonight.
And when would we be able to have that conversation?
So that conversation would have been appropriate at the time when this mixed-use employment center was created, where the parameters of the zone were discussed 2 years ago, I guess in 2020, when the property was rezoned. If council directs the staff to investigate options for like a staff-led text amendment, we can investigate that. But it would need a council resolution, and I think it would need to incorporate more than one property. So not targeting a specific property, but looking at how to regulate mixed-use employment centers or restaurants throughout.
Yeah, because it was a discussion that we certainly had when Latoria Walk was created. And we specifically talked about the impacts of 24-hour operations. And I think that it has a potential to be a detrimental impact to the area. So I am concerned that this has not been discussed. And that council hasn't had an opportunity to talk about. The first time I saw a 24-hour was in this report. So further to that on the signage, we've also been trying for a number of years to work towards less invasive signage. And one of the requests is for a projection sign. Is that like a television screen kind of sign, similar to what we have at West Shore Parks and Rec?
I'm just reading the sign bylaw right now. The projecting sign means a sign which projects no more than 30 centimeters or 12 inches from the face or the wall of a building. So that does not outline any electronic signage.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Day. Dean, I think you're a virtual speaker, so I'm going to give it a try there. Dean, see if that works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate this. And I apologize. There's 40 some odd pages there, but I just wonder if, you know, and all the diagrams for the signs are really detailed, but they really don't offer sort of a lot of context as far as how they fit in with the surrounding buildings. And I'm not sure if the applicant or anyone can help us out with any sort of artwork or renderings, but I find it very difficult to sort of read in one dimension here or understand in one dimension. That's one question. The other bit I have is I have some concerns about those. Maybe staff can answer this question. A lot of those little signs look like they're temporary in nature, like a big cinder block. Can someone speak to that and tell me what that entails?
Thank you, Councilor Jansen. I will refer to the applicant regarding kind of the interpreting the one-dimensional into kind of three-dimensional, that kind of conversation first, and then I'm,
Because I'm working remotely here and I don't have it in hand. I apologize, that's my bad. But maybe you can speak to some of these temporary looking signs and what the plan is for that. Are they temporary? Are they going to be made permanent? Because quite frankly, they don't look very aesthetically appealing the way they are, even in one dimension.
Yeah, so what I know about these signs is they're basically directional type of signage. It's more for the flow of the drive-through. We found that certain signs are needed to facilitate the flow of drive-through and maximize the speed of traffic going through it and reducing emissions and stuff like that. But maybe I'll pass that along to, I'm thinking Gary, you might be the best to speak to the sign designs and the renderings. Is that something you can speak to?
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. Yeah, the signs here are, I guess if you've seen a typical drive-through in Western Canada or a McDonald's restaurant, this is very standard to what we're doing. None of the signs that we're showing on this particular application are temporary. They're all permanent signs. They're all designed, as Jordan said, to facilitate the flow of traffic and the identification of what it is we do.
So I get that. I can read some of those signs. I guess I don't want to be a nitpicker here, but a big block of cement and a sign that looks to me like someone could probably pick it up and hurl it or drag it away. Can we not do a little bit better job of making those more aesthetically appealing is my question or concern.
Can you be more specific about which signs you're talking about? Because we don't.
The reserve spot signs. You show a sign on a big block of cement. I guess the question for me to McDonald's or to the proponent is, can we do a better job than that?
Yeah, actually, let me speak to that now that I understand which ones you're referring to specifically. The reason that those ones are done that way is because the nature of the pull-up signs, the Uber Eat type signs, the McDonald's deliveries and all those parking spots can change. They can be added to, they can be reduced. But what we can do is to remove the blocks, and we put in, it's a rubber mount into the concrete that allows the sign to look more permanent, and it still gives us the flexibility to move those signs around.
That sounds great. I don't want to hinder what you have going there, but it just, even in one dimension, looks like a big, ugly block of concrete with a sign.
No, thank you, Councillor, and I understand what you're saying, and I'm not going to disagree with that, that concrete look. But yes, we can certainly address that and give it more of a permanent look with a rubber mount.
Thank you. I'll look to the chair or staff. Do they require a motion of some description, or is that discussion enough for staff?
Yasmin, you want to take that one?
Yeah, if you wanted to note in the minute or that we would simply add rubber mounts instead of concrete blocks, then consider it done.
Yeah.
I'm happy
a
if you're happy,
resolution.
Yasmin.
Okay.
Yes, a resolution would be beneficial if adding to the one of the options that you are picking tonight. So you can add to the last line, subject to a condition that rubber be included on the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jasmine. I don't want to complicate things, but Mr. Chair, I will propose that amendment that we forego the cement base in favor of the rubber base as the proponent has suggested.
Okay, then I guess we discuss the amendment. Yes, sir. Okay. Good point. Hold your horses, Dean.
Thank you, and I'm happy to have it incorporated in some fashion or another as well. Sorry, I'm kind of handicapped on this end.
Okay. Thanks, Dean. Are that enough? You done? Okay. Mayor Martin?
Thank you, Chair. Can staff please comment on two questions that I have? First, do these signs fit our night sky policies? And in regards to the second is reading through the report, I did not see communication signing off on this report. So have we spoken with communications in regards to it fitting our goals within wayfinding signage?
I'm going to respond to these two questions on behalf of Kelsey. Not that she couldn't, but I think I'm gonna step in. So with regards to the wayfinding strategy that Sandra has put together, that wayfinding strategy is focused on public property, so the boulevard and how to direct people to places of interest in neighborhoods, Allendale, Royal Bay, Royal Beach, etc. So these particular signage is all located within private property. So it is not, I suppose, subject to, it's a separate parallel, if you wish, signage package that is on private property. And with regards to the skylight, dark, yeah, the policy, it speaks to a lumen level, or like the intensity of illumination. And so we will provide that, those specifications to the proponent and ask that they do meet that level of illumination so that it is in keeping with our design guidelines. I do feel like the illumination can be regulated and yeah.
Thank you. With all due respect, I would suggest that we probably, even though it's private land, and I do understand that, I think it should be mirroring at the very least what our public wayfinding signs goals are, and that. Saying that, Chair, I'm prepared to move the recommendation that staff have with the amendment, not with the amendment, but with the change to moving to rubber as discussed by Councillor Jansen.
Have you got that, Amanda? Thank you. Discussion on the motion? Oh. I see him. I'm just deciding whether I want to speak first or not. And I think I'll take the privilege as a first-time speaker. I have a whole bunch of emotions about this thing, and I think they stem from the, and Councillor Day spoke to a little bit, the sort of the commercial, light industrial, mixed use employment uses of the land that we started out with. And you know, it does seem to be morphing a little bit into more just retail. But when I look at the initial proposal that was put in front of us, it had a big storage building as being one of the likely uses, and it seems to have gone away, which I got to admit McDonald's probably has much more employment than a storage building. So I certainly don't have any issue with McDonald's as a corporate citizen or as an employer. But the one thing that perhaps the applicant or one of his people online could address is how many of these are we going to get? You know, we have, it is sort of one site with a number of uses on it, and now we're sort of one of the uses is coming for maybe not a major change, but another request. And is this going to be with every building that gets constructed is going to have another request for variance, or is this it for the whole site, or how do we stand on that?
At the, thank you, Councilor Ferguson, for the question. So at the moment, yes, the development permit did come with a general signage plan, which did follow Sign District D. This was above and beyond what was permitted. So we don't expect any other variances to come in for the other tenants. However, it could be a possibility.
Maybe the applicant could comment on the likelihood.
I think I'm going to refer this one to Lori Todd from McDonald's. I think she's best suited to this. If there's any other applications coming in or any other expected variances for the site.
Thank you, Jordan. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Lori Todd, Area Construction Manager for McDonald's. So I like to speak to the actual McDonald's pad. So we are leasing the actual pad from the landlord. So I'm not able to speak in regards to the other tenants on site.
Understood.
Councillor Parkinson, if you may allow me to speak a little bit I think one of the problems is the fact that our sign bylaw is a very outdated piece of regulation. It was drafted, I think, in 1989. Kelsey may correct me, but it is a very outdated piece of regulation. So for the vast majority of the signage that McDonald's is proposing, a more modern bylaw wouldn't even classify a lot of that. What they are proposing as signage is just the language that is embedded into our very outdated bylaw makes it so that we often do have to come to council when there's a new franchise that has some innovative or unusual signage. We do often have to bring them forward to council for consideration because the bylaw was drafted a very long time ago and it hasn't been updated since. So there's and through that review of that sign bylaw, we can very well look at establishing a pattern of signage that mirrors or support signage that is like the wayfinding strategy, like the mayor's was speaking to, the fact that we do have a strategy and an expectation for a certain look of signage on private, like public property, but on private lands, the way in which we regulate it is fairly outdated. So that's why you often see development variance permits for signage.
So I guess I would read into that the expectation that there may be several more similar requests that don't meet, what is it, sign bylaw D or area D for signs that the site was rezoned under?
Yeah, and sign district D, for instance, it would allow one fascia sign per building, but it wasn't created with the vision of a strip mall or commercial retail mall that has, let's say, elevations that face the street as well as the internal parking area. So the amount of signage that they may be wanting to accommodate to advertise to the street as well as the internal space exceeds what is currently permitted under sign district D.
So are we establishing a precedent here that's going to be duplicated many times over on this site? And should we understand the whole site? Or, I mean, I don't think that what McDonald's is asking for is any different than you'd expect at any other McDonald's, but is there a time when you've got several businesses all wanting this, that it just becomes a bit too much?
And I think that's why I don't think it sets a precedent, because it's always council's is at the opinion of council ultimately what you decide to grant or not. And I think when we bring forward a next potential variance on these, we would be able to bring back that development permit signage plan, which was approved and complies, and then add to it a visual for what was approved by McDonald's, and perhaps what we can do in the future, if there are any more development variance permits, show you kind of a comprehensive look at what we think has been approved and will be, how it all fits together within that complex.
Thank you. Councillor Baxter.
No, I don't think I'm my life. I am. Councillor Parkinson, you mentioned that originally we thought this would be commercial and it's morphing into retail, I believe, but retail is included in commercial. And I think you're not the first one to comment that we're maybe not getting exactly what we expected in Allendale Pit. And I think that just points to the need to do a comprehensive plan for an area like this, similar to the gateway plan that we're doing for the city centre. That's exactly why we need that. And I'm glad we're doing it for city centre. Allendale Pit's not quite so important. But anyway, what I want to do is just establish that we have moved option 1, I believe, within the addition of Councillor Jansen's addition.
That's
I'd
correct.
like to propose adding to that that wording to the effect that all of the signs will be built in general accordance with the drawings presented this evening. Do you want an amendment for that, or can we just agree on that as a part of it?
Can you add that, Amanda? Okay, no, I think you're good there. Councillor Day.
Thank you. I really think that what I heard from the planning department about our sign bylaw is not consistent with my recollection of the last 20 years. So we've had significant discussions about our sign bylaws and about the amount, size, and number of signs for several election cycles now. And we have required that signs be less in size and less close to the roadways. In particular, we had a delegation here asking for additional signage from local First Nations, and that was turned down because of the initiative to try to reduce the sign number that we see, especially along Suk Road. And now we're talking about Veterans Memorial Parkway and the Allendale District and what will happen with that signage. And I think that if we're going to talk about signage, we should get our facts straight because signage is a big issue. It can really change the character of a neighborhood. And I'm hopeful that we can both have something that is reasonably easy for customers to follow, but also leaves some space for there to be something to look at other than signs. Because there's a lot of beautiful natural areas in Colwood that we're hoping to keep that as our focus is on the beauty of the neighborhood that we're in and not on the numerous signs that are put up to. Obviously, you need to tell people where you are and you need to tell people how to get in and how to exit safely, for sure. But to say that our sign bylaw is out of date and we're just going to go ahead with this, I find that very concerning. We need to develop in a way that we have a good quality outcome for all the residents of Colwood. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Councillor Kobayashi.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just going to ask the proponent a question here. Is there another like McDonald that we can see, like the ones in Langford or the ones in Colwood? Is there similarities that we can sort of say, hey, yeah, okay, I know what this is all about. So is there something that I can observe right now?
Good afternoon, Councillor. I'm going to refer that to Lori Todd. She'd probably be best to answer that.
Hi, Lori here. If you're looking to compare the Langford Rona restaurant to the new Allendale McDonald's restaurant, they have similar signage, except for the Langford Rona right beside the Lowe's actually has digital menu signage outside on the pylon. This location does not have any digital signs, okay? Other than the menu boards, but there's no digital reader signs. The exterior is different. Also, we've updated our prototype for more of a modern, seamless look. So I do have some color elevations I can show if everyone would like to see a quick color rendering, if that would help.
That would actually, if you have it available.
Yeah, am I able to share my screen?
Please.
Okay, can you see the rendering here?
Yes, I can see it, Lori.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Sorry.
you. So you can see here, this elevation, the non-drive-through elevation, is what you'll see driving from on Veteran Memorial. Okay, so you'll be seeing the McDonald's arch on the rear blade. So minimal signage. You'll see the McDonald's logo on the upper portion of the building, as well as the blade that faces the Allendale access specifically. And then you have McDonald's in the front there as well.
Okay,
If that helps with the signage. There's not as much signage on our buildings than what we used to on our new prototypes. That answers your question.
Yeah, it does. That's really visual. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And the second question I have for staff is this whole 24-hour thing here. I hope you realize that potentially C-SPAN could be a 24-hour operation also, right? Did you know that? Does someone know that? It's just, I'll tell you right now, because when we had that tour there, I asked a question about immediate operational requirements, IORs for ship repairs, that something comes in and they have to repair it right away. And if any of the equipment is actually stored in Allendale, it will be used. So, I mean, there's potential. I don't think they're planning a 24/7 operation there, but it's potentially there, just so that everyone is aware of that. But it's like everyone seems surprised about a lot of things here. So, yeah. Anyways, I just thought I'd point that out right now. Thank you.
Thank you. My list is empty. I think we have a motion on the floor for option 1, subject to using rubber mounts and in general conformance with the plans presented. Any in opposition? Councillor Day opposes, the motion passes. Looking for a motion to adjourn? Councillor Logan, believe it or not. We are adjourned.